Life in Tajikistan. $500 budget. Beautiful women and Asia's strictest SX rules. Ever wondered what it's like to live in one of Asia's most budget-friendly countries, where the beauty of women could make you stop in your tracks, and where strict social rules will make you think twice before stepping out of line? Well, buckle up, because Tajikistan has all of this and more. Tajikistan, a small country nestled in the heart of Central Asia, might not be the first destination that comes to mind when you think about international travel, but it's a place worth exploring. With towering mountains, rich history, and a culture that blends Soviet influence with ancient traditions, Tajikistan is a land of surprises. While the world knows about the hustle and bustle of places like India or China, Tajikistan offers something entirely different, an escape to a quieter, more serene side of Asia. But don't let the calm surroundings fool you. There's much more to this country than meets the eye. Here, you'll find the rare combination of stunning landscapes and deeply rooted traditions that are both beautiful and challenging. Situated in Central Asia, Tajikistan is a landlocked country surrounded by Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, China, and Afghanistan. Despite being one of the smaller countries in the region, it holds a unique cultural and historical significance. From ancient Silk Road routes that pass through this territory to the grand Pamir Mountains that dominate its landscape, Tajikistan is rich in natural beauty and history. The country has a largely mountainous terrain, with valleys and rivers weaving through its landscape, offering picturesque views that captivate travelers. Though it shares many characteristics with its Central Asian neighbors, Tajikistan's identity stands out through its unique blend of Persian and Soviet influences, along with its vibrant local traditions that continue to shape the lives of its people. In this video, we're diving into what makes Tajikistan truly unique. First, we'll explore how the cost of living here is incredibly low compared to most places around the world, giving you the chance to live comfortably on just $500 a month. Imagine all the things you could do if you didn't have to worry about high rent, pricey food, or expensive transportation. Tajikistan offers this and more, allowing you to enjoy a relaxed and affordable lifestyle. But it's not just about saving money. Tajikistan is also home to some of the most beautiful women in Asia. From their striking features to their graceful personalities, the women here are often celebrated for their beauty. But, as you'll soon find out, there's much more beneath the surface. The country's social rules around relationships and intimacy are strict, and these norms play a big role in shaping the daily life of its people. Throughout the documentary, we'll uncover how these factors come together to create a society that's both captivating and complex. Now, here's a thought to consider. Could you live in a country where relationships and public displays of affection are heavily regulated by tradition? How would you adjust to living in a place where your social interactions are shaped by strict cultural expectations, especially when it comes to love and intimacy? Tajikistan may seem like a paradise in terms of its natural beauty and low living costs, but the cultural norms here could challenge your ideas of how relationships and social behavior should work. Could you live within these rules, or would the limitations be too much to handle? Let's dive in and explore what life is really like in this fascinating country. The cost of living in Tajikistan. Can you really live on $500? Tajikistan is one of the most affordable countries in Asia, especially if you're coming from a place where living costs are much higher. The key to living well on a small budget here lies in how low things like rent, food, and transportation can be. For instance, rent in Tajikistan is incredibly cheap compared to most Western countries. You can find a decent one-bedroom apartment in the capital, Dushanbe, for as little as $102 per month. In other cities or rural areas, rents are even lower, sometimes going for $50 to $60 a month. This is a stark contrast to places like the United States, where rent for a similar apartment can easily cost $1,500 or more depending on the city. Food is another area where you'll save a lot of money. Eating out is affordable, with meals at local restaurants costing as little as $2 to $5. A full meal at a mid-range restaurant can still be under $10. In comparison, if you were dining in New York or London, even a basic meal at a casual eatery would likely cost you around $20 to $30. Groceries are also relatively cheap. You can buy a week's worth of fresh produce for about $10 to $15, and other essentials like bread, rice, and eggs will hardly make a dent in your budget. In comparison, spending on groceries in the US might set you back $200 or more for the same amount of food. Transportation costs are equally affordable. Public transportation in Tajikistan is inexpensive, with a bus ticket or a shared taxi ride costing less than $1. If you want to own a car, fuel prices are low, and car ownership is less of a financial burden compared to many countries. This is a big difference from places like Europe or the US, where fuel prices and maintenance costs can really add up. When you look at the overall picture, Tajikistan's low cost of living offers an attractive option for those looking to save money or live on a budget. The country allows you to stretch your dollars, or somonas, the local currency, much further than most places. Living on a tight budget, living on $500 a month in Tajikistan, is not only possible, but it's also realistic for many locals who manage their day-to-day expenses carefully. But while the low cost of living is a major advantage, it does come with some lifestyle sacrifices. For example, if you're trying to live on such a budget, you'll likely be sticking to basic accommodations, which means smaller, older apartments or shared housing. You won't find the fancy amenities and luxury buildings you might expect in cities with a higher cost of living, but it's more than enough to provide a comfortable home if you're okay with a simpler living space. When it comes to food, you'll probably be cooking most of your meals at home to keep costs down. Local markets offer fresh fruits, vegetables, and meats at very low prices, so your grocery bill won't be a problem if you shop wisely. However, eating out at expensive restaurants or buying imported goods can quickly drain your budget, so local, home-cooked meals are the way to go. One important thing to note is the lack of modern conveniences that you might be used to in more developed countries. High-speed internet might be available in cities, but it can be slow, and in rural areas, it can be a challenge to get a reliable connection. Healthcare is also basic. Though you can find medical help at reasonable prices, the level of care and availability of advanced treatments might not be up to the standard you're used to in Western countries. Living on such a tight budget means you'll also have to be mindful of your entertainment and leisure activities. While Tajikistan offers natural beauty and cultural experiences, many of these activities are free or very low cost, such as hiking in the Pamir Mountains or exploring local markets. However, activities like movies, concerts, or clubs may be more expensive, and they're generally fewer in number. Living on $500 in Tajikistan is entirely doable, but it requires careful budgeting and a willingness to live simply. For someone used to a higher standard of living, the adjustment might take some time, but the trade-off comes with a slower pace of life, fewer material demands, and the opportunity to experience a very different culture. It's all about adapting to a different way of living, one where your basic needs are met without the stress of high living costs. For many, this is more than enough to create a satisfying and fulfilling lifestyle. Tajikistan's natural beauty. The Pamir Mountains and more Tajikistan is a country where nature dominates the landscape, and it's hard to find a corner that doesn't offer a stunning view. One of the most iconic features of Tajikistan is the Pamir Mountains, often referred to as the roof of the world. These towering peaks stretch across the eastern part of the country, with some of the highest summits reaching over 7,000 meters. The dramatic rise of these mountains against the blue sky creates a picture-perfect setting that can leave anyone in awe. As you stand at the foot of the Pamirs, the sheer size and beauty of the landscape can be overwhelming. the valleys below, are carved by rivers that flow through the rugged terrain, adding to the beauty and complexity of this region. But the Pamirs aren't the only natural wonder in Tajikistan. The Fan Mountains, located in the northwestern part of the country, are equally breathtaking. These mountains are known for their sharp peaks, deep gorges, and crystal-clear alpine lakes. Iskanderkul Lake, one of the most famous in Tajikistan, is nestled in the Fan Mountains. It's surrounded by jagged cliffs, and the turquoise waters of the lake reflect the surrounding landscape in a way that's almost magical. Hikers and adventurers often flock to this area for its challenging trails and spectacular views. Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, also offers views that are hard to match. From the city, you can catch glimpses of the surrounding mountain ranges, which seem to rise up almost out of nowhere. These natural features create a stunning backdrop for the city, giving it an almost surreal feeling. The mountains are always within sight, reminding you of the power and beauty of nature. If you enjoy hiking, photography, or simply being in nature, Tajikistan offers an abundance of opportunities to connect with the environment. Tajikistan's environment is a major draw for tourists, particularly those looking for adventure or a connection with nature. Whether you're into hiking, photography, or simply appreciating untouched landscapes, Tajikistan offers something for everyone. The Pamir Mountains attract trekkers and mountaineers from all over the world who are eager to conquer some of the highest peaks in Central Asia. The landscape is so diverse that it allows visitors to experience everything from rugged mountains and glaciers to peaceful valleys and crystal-clear lakes. For nature lovers, the country offers an endless opportunity to explore its beauty. For photographers, Tajikistan is a dream destination. The contrast of the stark mountains with the lush valleys, the quiet lakes reflecting the snow-capped peaks, and the ever-changing colors of the skies make for perfect photo opportunities. Whether you're capturing the first light over the mountains or the deep shadows of a mountain pass, the country provides some of the most beautiful and dramatic landscapes in the world. The beauty of these scenic areas plays a significant role in shaping Tajikistan's identity. The mountains aren't just part of the geography. They are tied to the people and the culture. They represent the country's resilience, history, and deep connection to nature. For locals, these mountains are more than just a landscape. They are a way of life, providing resources, culture, and even a sense of pride. However, the beauty of Tajikistan's natural landscape contrasts with the country's economic situation. While Tajikistan is rich in natural resources and stunning environments, the economy is still developing, and many areas of the country lack the infrastructure that could make these natural wonders more accessible to the global tourist market. As a result, Tajikistan remains relatively unknown compared to other travel destinations, even though it offers some of the most pristine and unspoiled nature on the planet. The low number of tourists allows the country to maintain its raw, uncommercialized charm, but it also limits the potential for economic growth through tourism. Nevertheless, Tajikistan's natural beauty continues to capture the attention of those who seek adventure and serenity in an untouched environment. Tajikistan's rich cultural heritage. A journey through history. Tajikistan has a long and fascinating history that stretches back thousands of years, shaped by its location at the crossroads of major trade routes. One of the most significant aspects of Tajikistan's history is its connection to the ancient Silk Road, which passed through this land for centuries. This network of trade routes linked China to the Mediterranean, and Tajikistan was an important stop along the way. As traders, travelers, and cultures from different parts of the world passed through, they left behind a lasting influence on the country's culture, architecture, and traditions. Cities like Penjikent, once a major Silk Road stop, are still home to ruins and archaeological sites that tell the story of this prosperous era. The remnants of ancient cities and forts give visitors a glimpse into a time when Tajikistan played a central role in global trade. Tajikistan also shares a history with the Soviet Union, as it was part of the USSR until its independence in 1991. During this time, Soviet policies shaped much of the country's infrastructure, education, and political systems. The influence of Soviet architecture can still be seen in the capital city, Dushanbe, with its wide boulevards and Soviet-style buildings. After gaining independence, Tajikistan faced many challenges as it worked to rebuild its economy and establish its identity as a nation. Today, the country balances its ancient cultural heritage with the influence of both Soviet and modern times, creating a unique mix of traditions and progress. Islam plays a central role in the daily life of many Tajiks, shaping their customs, social interactions, and worldview. The majority of Tajikistan's population practices Islam, with the majority being Sunni Muslims. The Islamic faith influences everything from the way people dress to how they interact with one another. Traditional customs, such as the importance of hospitality, are closely tied to Islamic teachings. It's not uncommon for a Tajik family to invite a stranger into their home for a meal or to offer them tea, reflecting the culture's emphasis on generosity and kindness. These acts of hospitality are a cornerstone of Tajik society, and they create a sense of warmth and community that is felt throughout the country. Tajikistan's rich cultural heritage is also reflected in its art, music, and traditions. Music, in particular, holds great importance in Tajik culture, with traditional instruments like the rubab and dombra being commonly used in folk music. The melodies of Tajik music often tell stories of love, nature, and the struggles of everyday life. Dance is another vital part of the culture, with traditional dances being performed during weddings, festivals, and other special occasions. These dances are often lively and colorful, showcasing the joy and spirit of the Tajik people. Tajik food is another way the country's culture is celebrated. Dishes like plov, a rice and meat dish, and samsa, a type of pastry filled with meat, and vegetables, are popular and reflect the country's Central Asian influences. The food is flavorful and often shared with family and friends during gatherings. Tajik clothing, especially traditional garments worn during festivals, also reflects the country's cultural heritage. Men typically wear a chapan, a long robe, while women wear brightly colored dresses and intricate headscarves. Tajikistani festivals and celebrations are a wonderful expression of the country's cultural identity. The most significant of these is Nowruz, the Persian New Year, which marks the arrival of spring and is celebrated with music, dancing, feasts, and family gatherings. It is a time of renewal and joy, and it's a festival that brings the entire country together. Other important celebrations include religious holidays like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, which are marked by prayers, feasts, and community events. Overall, Tajikistan's cultural heritage is a blend of ancient traditions and modern influences. The country's history, religious practices, hospitality, and artistic expressions all contribute to a unique and vibrant culture that continues to thrive despite the challenges the country has faced over the years. Beauty of Tajik women. Myths and reality Tajik women are often regarded as some of the most beautiful in Asia, a reputation that is celebrated both within the country and outside of it. This perception is rooted in the country's rich cultural mix, with influences from Persian, Turkic, and Russian heritage, all of which contribute to the unique physical appearance of Tajik women. With their striking features, dark eyes, long, black hair, and fair to olive skin, Tajik women have become a symbol of beauty in the region. Beauty is highly appreciated in Tajikistan, and it's not just about physical appearance but also about how a woman carries herself, her grace, and her demeanor. Local beauty standards emphasize elegance and modesty, with women often seen wearing traditional clothing like colorful dresses and intricate headscarves that reflect their culture. But beauty in Tajikistan is not only based on outward appearance, It also includes the way a woman behaves, her mannerisms, and her role within the family and community. While this celebration of beauty is widespread, it also places a significant amount of pressure on women to maintain a certain image. This focus on appearance can sometimes overshadow other qualities such as intelligence, work, or education. In many communities, beauty is often viewed as a woman's most valuable asset, and this can sometimes overshadow the importance of career or education. In more traditional settings, it is not uncommon for women to be expected to prioritize their appearance and roles within the family, sometimes at the expense of personal aspirations like pursuing higher education or working outside the home. In Tajikistan, the role of women is deeply influenced by the country's traditions and values. Family plays a central role in Tajik society, and women are often seen as the heart of the home, responsible for managing the household, taking care of children, and maintaining family traditions. Marriage is a highly significant event in the lives of many women, and it's often viewed as a central part of their identity. From a young age, women are raised to understand the importance of marriage and family life, and many of their life choices are shaped by these expectations. In traditional Tajik families, women are expected to be caregivers and homemakers. They are often responsible for cooking, cleaning, and ensuring the well-being of their families. In contrast, men are typically seen as the breadwinners and protectors. While this traditional role is still dominant in many parts of Tajikistan, there are growing calls for change, particularly in urban areas. Women in cities like Dushanbe are increasingly pursuing education and careers, challenging the old ideas of women being solely focused on family life. However, these traditional expectations can sometimes clash with more modern ideas of women's rights and freedom. As the world changes and women around the world gain more independence and opportunities, the role of women in Tajikistan is also evolving. Many young Tajik women are fighting for the right to pursue higher education, work, and have more say in their personal lives. But these changes are not always welcomed by everyone, and traditional values still hold significant weight in many parts of the country. This tension between traditional family roles and modern aspirations often creates challenges for women who want to break free from societal expectations and pursue a life of their own choosing. While Tajik women are beautiful and strong, their journey toward equality and freedom is still ongoing. The conflict between traditional expectations and the modern push for gender equality continues to shape the lives of women in Tajikistan. As the country develops and more women step into the workforce and gain education, it will be interesting to see how these roles evolve in the future. Understanding Tajikistan's strict social rules. Tajikistan is a country where tradition and social norms have a strong influence on daily life. These norms shape how people interact with each other, what is acceptable in public, and even the decisions made within the family. Many of these social rules stem from the country's deep cultural and religious values, which are largely influenced by Islam and its interpretation within the region. For example, the role of women and men in public and private spaces is one of the most noticeable aspects of these norms. In Tajikistan, public conduct is guided by strict expectations of modesty and respect. Men and women are often expected to behave differently in public, with particular attention given to how they interact with each other. In many parts of the country, it's not common for men and women to socialize freely, especially in rural areas. For instance, public displays of affection, such as holding hands or kissing, are frowned upon and often seen as disrespectful. This is due to the cultural emphasis on modesty and the belief that relationships should be kept private, particularly before marriage. In many families, the involvement of women in public life is limited. For example, while women may be active in the home, caring for children and managing household chores, they are less likely to participate in public events or social gatherings that include both men and women. In urban areas like Dushanbe, this may be changing, with women becoming more visible in the workforce, education, and social settings. However, in more traditional regions, women's roles are still mostly confined to family life and household duties. Men, on the other hand, are typically seen as the head of the household and the main decision-makers. In traditional Tajik families, the father or eldest male often has the final say in matters related to marriage, finances, and family direction. While this patriarchal structure is still common, younger generations, especially in cities, are pushing for more equality and freedom in decision-making. But these traditional family structures continue to play a major role in shaping daily life and interactions in Tajikistan. One example of the strict social norms that govern behavior is how people dress. In Tajikistan, modesty in clothing is highly valued, especially for women. Women are often expected to cover their hair with a scarf and wear long dresses or skirts. Men are expected to dress neatly and respectfully, but their clothing is generally less regulated than women's. While these customs may seem restrictive to outsiders, they are seen as a reflection of respect for the culture and religion. In urban areas, you might find that young people are more liberal in their dress, but in rural areas, these traditions are still strictly followed. Even in matters like socializing, there are clear boundaries. For example, men and women who are not related are generally not supposed to sit together in public settings, such as cafes or restaurants. If men and women do interact, they do so in a formal and respectful manner, often avoiding casual or friendly conversations unless they are well acquainted or related. These rules can feel strict, but they reflect the deeply ingrained social norms that govern interaction and respect in Tajik society. These social norms also extend to the role of family in decision-making. In traditional Tajik families, major decisions such as marriage, education, or where to live are often made by the family as a whole, especially the elders. The parents or other senior family members hold significant influence over the younger generation, and their opinions are given great weight. In the case of marriage, for instance, it is common for the families of the bride and groom to be heavily involved in the decision-making process. In many cases, love marriages are still less common than arranged ones, and the family's approval is considered essential. Tajikistan's strict social norms are an integral part of the country's culture. They govern how people behave in public, how men and women interact, and even how decisions are made within the family. While these norms may seem restrictive or outdated to outsiders, they play a key role in maintaining order and tradition in Tajik society. However, as Tajikistan modernizes and as younger generations push for more freedom and gender equality, these norms are gradually changing, especially in urban centers. Still, for the majority of the population, respect for tradition and family continues to be at the heart of daily life. Ikshul and relationship rules. Tajikistan holds a conservative view when it comes to relationships, particularly regarding intimacy, dating, and marriage. These values are deeply rooted in the country's Islamic traditions and social customs, which emphasize modesty and family honor. For many Tajiks, the idea of a relationship is closely tied to marriage, and public displays of affection or even casual dating are generally frowned upon. In a society where modesty is highly valued, intimacy before marriage is considered inappropriate, and many view it as morally wrong. In Tajikistan, dating is not as common as in more liberal societies. Traditional courtship is often arranged by families, especially in rural areas. The idea of young people choosing their partners without family approval is rare and can lead to disapproval from relatives or even the wider community. For women, this can be even more restrictive, as they are expected to preserve their reputation and honor. The pressure to conform to these traditional relationship norms can be heavy, and many women feel restricted in their ability to freely choose a partner or explore romantic relationships outside of what's culturally accepted. For men, the rules are somewhat different, but they are still bound by the same societal expectations of respect and propriety. Men are expected to show respect to women, especially those who are not their relatives, and must follow the rules of modesty when it comes to public behavior. However, in some cases, men might have more freedom to pursue romantic interests compared to women. Despite this, any kind of romantic or intimate behavior outside the bounds of marriage is still considered improper by most families. These rules around relationships have a significant impact on the daily lives of both locals and foreigners living in Tajikistan. Locals who want to form a romantic relationship must often work within the expectations of their family and community. For some, this means waiting until marriage to engage in intimacy, while for others, it could involve arranging a marriage with someone their family approves of without much personal involvement. The pressure to adhere to these customs can cause emotional and social strain, especially for younger people who may want more freedom in choosing their partners. For foreigners living in Tajikistan, navigating these relationship rules can be tricky. Those from more liberal countries may find it challenging to understand or adjust to these conservative norms. Public behavior that may be acceptable in their home country, such as holding hands or showing affection, could be seen as disrespectful or inappropriate in Tajikistan. As a result, many foreigners find it important to be respectful of local customs and avoid any behavior that could be perceived as inappropriate. The penalties for breaking these norms can vary. In some cases, families may disapprove or shame individuals who don't follow the traditional rules. This can lead to strained relationships or even ostracism within the community. In more extreme situations, the social consequences can be more severe, with public humiliation or the involvement of local authorities, particularly in rural areas where traditions are strictly followed. Although there are no official laws against dating or intimacy before marriage, the societal pressure to conform to these rules can be overwhelming, and breaking them can result in significant social consequences. Tajikistan's conservative stance on relationships deeply impacts how people interact, form connections, and navigate their personal lives. The emphasis on modesty, family involvement, and respect for tradition creates a society where romantic relationships are highly regulated. For both locals and foreigners, understanding and respecting these cultural norms is important to avoid misunderstandings and maintain good relationships within the community. Tajikistan's low-wage economy and unemployment issues. In Tajikistan, the average salary is much lower compared to many other countries. The average monthly wage for a worker in Tajikistan is around $150 to $200, which is quite low, especially when compared to the cost of living in more developed countries. While living expenses are generally cheaper in Tajikistan, this low wage makes it challenging for many people to afford a higher standard of living. Basic necessities like food, rent, and transportation are affordable, but the income is still not enough for many to have extra savings or to invest in things like education or healthcare. Certain sectors in Tajikistan are growing, which creates some job opportunities, especially in areas like construction, agriculture, and mining. Agriculture is still the largest sector, employing a significant portion of the population, but it often does not pay well. For example, many people work on farms, growing cotton or fruits, but these jobs are physically demanding and often come with low pay. In recent years, there has been some growth in industries like manufacturing and services, but these jobs are limited and may not offer high wages either. The government has also been trying to promote sectors like tourism and technology, as Tajikistan's natural beauty and cultural heritage could attract international visitors. However, the development of these sectors is still in its early stages, and there are few well-paying jobs in these areas. Many young people in Tajikistan are also looking for opportunities to work abroad, particularly in countries like Russia, where there are higher wages and more job prospects. This migration of workers is one of the main ways people cope with the low wages in Tajikistan. One of the main challenges locals face is the lack of well-paying jobs. Even for educated individuals, The opportunities to find a job that offers a decent salary are limited. Many young people graduate from universities but end up in jobs that don't match their qualifications and still earn low wages. This lack of well-paying jobs contributes to high levels of unemployment, especially among young people. It also affects the overall economy, as a large portion of the population depends on remittances from family members working abroad. This reliance on foreign income can make the economy vulnerable to changes in the job markets of other countries. Overall, while Tajikistan's low wages make it a more affordable place to live, the lack of well-paying jobs and the struggle to find stable employment are significant challenges for the people. These issues also limit the potential for economic growth and development in the country, as many people are forced to seek work outside of Tajikistan to support themselves and their families. Impact of the economy on daily life. Living in an economy with such low wages can have a significant psychological and emotional impact on people. In Tajikistan, where the average monthly wage is often below $200, many locals struggle to make ends meet. While the cost of living is relatively low, this still doesn't provide people with the financial freedom to improve their quality of life or save for the future. The constant worry about basic needs like food, shelter, and transportation can create a sense of stress and anxiety. For many, the daily grind becomes all about surviving rather than thriving. This can lead to feelings of frustration as people work hard but still find themselves stuck in a cycle of low pay and limited opportunities. For young people, the situation is even more challenging. Many graduates face the tough reality of not being able to find a job that matches their education and skills. They may end up in jobs that pay very little, or they may be forced to look for work outside of the country, often in places like Russia, where wages are higher. This lack of job opportunities limits social mobility, making it difficult for young people to improve their living standards or make a better life for themselves and their families. The dream of a better future can feel out of reach for many young Tajiks, which can be discouraging and even lead to feelings of hopelessness. The affordability of living in Tajikistan might seem like an advantage, but the reality of a low-income lifestyle can be harsh. While rent, food, and transportation are cheap compared to other countries, the low wages mean that many people have little left over after covering basic expenses. This forces many to live frugally, cutting back on things like entertainment, healthcare, and other comforts that improve quality of life. It can also mean that people are unable to invest in things that could improve their long-term prospects, such as education or business ventures. As a result, many people in Tajikistan remain in a constant struggle, balancing the affordability of living with the harsh realities of a low-paying economy. The low wages in Tajikistan affect more than just the financial well-being of its people. They also have a deep psychological and emotional impact. Young people are particularly affected, as they face limited job opportunities and few chances to improve their social mobility. While life in Tajikistan is affordable, the challenges of a low-income lifestyle create hardships that can make it difficult to break free from the cycle of poverty. Life in the capital. Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, is a bustling city that serves as the heart of the country. It is where modern life blends with the country's rich history and traditional culture. In Dushanbe, you'll find a mix of old Soviet-style buildings and newer developments, reflecting the city's transition from its Soviet past to a more modern future. Although Dushanbe is the largest city in Tajikistan, it still has a relaxed, slower pace compared to other major cities in Central Asia, like Almaty or Tashkent. Life in Dushanbe offers a variety of amenities that make it stand out in Tajikistan. The city has modern shopping malls, restaurants, cafes, and hotels that cater to both locals and visitors. You can enjoy a cup of coffee at a cozy cafe, dine in a restaurant offering local or international cuisine, or shop in one of the many markets. While the city isn't as cosmopolitan as some larger cities in the region, it still offers a lot of conveniences that make daily life comfortable. public transportation, like buses and taxis, is available and relatively affordable, though it can sometimes be crowded during peak hours. One of the highlights of life in Dushanbe is the city's beautiful parks and green spaces. Places like the Rudaki Park and the Victory Park offer locals a peaceful escape from the busy streets. These parks are popular spots for families and individuals to relax, walk, or even enjoy a picnic. Dushanbe also has several cultural and historical sites like the National Museum of Tajikistan and the Ismaili Center, which showcase the country's heritage and history. These attractions help give the city a unique charm, mixing the old with the new. In terms of infrastructure, Dushanbe is more developed than other cities in Tajikistan. The city has good roads, clean water, and reliable electricity, although in some areas services can still be inconsistent. The healthcare system in Dushanbe is more advanced compared to rural parts of the country, with hospitals and clinics offering a higher standard of care. However, the cost of living in Dushanbe is also higher than in rural areas, particularly in terms of rent and dining out. Overall, life in Dushanbe is a combination of modern comforts and traditional values. It's a growing city with many opportunities, but it still holds on to its cultural roots. While it may not be as developed as major cities in other parts of the world, it offers a unique, welcoming environment that stands out in Central Asia. Life in the villages. Life in the villages of Tajikistan is very different from life in the capital, Dushanbe, or other urban areas. In rural areas, the pace of life is slower and people live much more closely with nature. Many villages are nestled in the mountains or isolated areas, where modern conveniences are less common. The houses are often simple, made from local materials like mud, stone, or wood. While some homes in villages may have electricity and running water, others might rely on wells for water and use wood or coal for heating. In these remote areas, people often grow their own food, relying on farming and livestock for their daily needs. Unlike urban areas where you'll find shopping malls, restaurants, and cafes, rural villages offer a much simpler lifestyle. Markets may be small and goods are limited to basic items. Villagers often trade with each other or buy what they need from local markets, which might only take place once a week. There are fewer entertainment options, and socializing is usually done within the community, with gatherings at local events or family homes. The difference between urban and rural areas is also noticeable in terms of education and healthcare. In villages, schools may be smaller, with fewer resources and fewer teachers compared to the well-equipped schools in cities. Children in rural areas might not have access to the same quality of education or extracurricular activities that children in Dushanbe or other larger cities enjoy. This can limit their opportunities for higher education and better job prospects in the future. Healthcare is another area where rural villages face challenges. While urban areas like Dushanbe have hospitals and medical facilities with trained doctors and better equipment, rural areas often have smaller clinics with limited services. If someone in a village requires serious medical attention, they may need to travel to the city, which can be difficult, especially in the winter months when roads are often blocked by snow. Overall, life in the villages of Tajikistan is centered around agriculture and family, with people living simply and closely connected to their surroundings. The lifestyle in these areas is more traditional, with less access to modern conveniences, education, and healthcare. In contrast, urban areas offer more opportunities and amenities, but this also comes with a faster-paced lifestyle. How Tajikistan is attracting more travelers. In 2025, Tajikistan is slowly gaining popularity as a travel destination, with more and more people discovering the beauty and uniqueness of the country. It's a place that offers something different from the typical tourist spots in Central Asia, with its stunning landscapes, rich cultural history, and unique blend of Persian and Soviet influences. One of the main attractions drawing visitors to Tajikistan is the breathtaking Pamir Mountains, also known as the Roof of the World. These mountains offer spectacular views, and travelers looking for adventure come to hike, climb, and explore. The Fan Mountains, Iskanderkul Lake, and other natural wonders also attract those who enjoy outdoor activities like trekking, fishing, and photography. In addition to the natural beauty, Tajikistan has a rich cultural heritage that appeals to those interested in history and tradition. Cities like Dushanbe, with its mix of modern and traditional architecture, offer a glimpse into the country's past and present. Historical sites like Penjikent and the ruins of ancient cities along the Silk Road draw visitors interested in learning about the country's role in global trade centuries ago. The combination of nature and history makes Tajikistan an appealing destination for a wide range of travelers. The country's infrastructure is improving to support tourism. New airports are being built and existing ones are being upgraded, making it easier for international travelers to visit. Road networks are being expanded, particularly in tourist-heavy areas, and hotels catering to tourists are becoming more common, offering a range of options from basic guest houses to more comfortable mid-range accommodations. These improvements are helping to make Tajikistan more accessible to travelers from around the world. What still needs to change? While Tajikistan is making progress in attracting tourists, there are still several areas where it lags behind other countries in terms of tourism. One major challenge is the lack of modern amenities. While major cities like Dushanbe have decent infrastructure, many rural areas still lack basic facilities, such as reliable electricity, high-speed internet, and quality public transportation. This can make it difficult for travelers who are used to the conveniences found in more developed destinations. Another challenge is the language barrier. Tajik is the official language, and while many people in urban areas can speak some Russian or English, communication can still be difficult for international tourists, particularly in remote areas. This can make it challenging for travelers to navigate, find local guides, or get information about attractions. Improving language skills among locals and providing more tourist-friendly materials in multiple languages would help make the country more accessible. Cultural differences also play a role in how tourists experience Tajikistan. The country's conservative social norms, especially regarding dress codes and public behavior, may be unfamiliar or uncomfortable for some visitors. While Tajikistan is a welcoming country, tourists may need to adjust to the local customs, which may require a bit of patience and understanding. Greater awareness of these cultural differences and offering guidance for visitors on how to navigate them could improve the overall experience for tourists. Despite these challenges, Tajikistan is making strides in becoming a more attractive destination for travelers. With continued investments in infrastructure, better language support, and an emphasis on making the country more tourist-friendly, Tajikistan has the potential to become a popular travel destination in the coming years. However, addressing these gaps will be essential for attracting even more visitors and ensuring a smooth travel experience. The future of Tajikistan. What to expect in the coming years? Tajikistan is actively working on improving its economy, overall infrastructure, with several government initiatives aimed at boosting growth and attracting foreign investment. One of the key goals for the government is to create a more favorable environment for businesses, both local and foreign. This includes offering incentives for foreign companies to invest in Tajikistan, improving legal frameworks, and providing better protection for investors. With better regulations and a more stable business environment, the government hopes to attract more international businesses and help diversify the economy, which has traditionally been heavily reliant on agriculture. 2. Support these efforts, the government has also been focusing on improving infrastructure across the country. Roads, airports, and public services are being upgraded to make the country more accessible for both locals and tourists. New transportation projects, including better road links to neighboring countries, are expected to increase trade and tourism, further boosting the economy. Additionally, the development of the energy sector, particularly hydropower, is seen as a major opportunity for Tajikistan. The country has abundant water resources, and harnessing this for energy production could not only meet domestic needs but also help generate revenue through exports to neighboring countries. The government is also working on developing other sectors like mining, manufacturing, and services. The growth of the mining industry, including the extraction of precious metals, is one area that could bring in more income. Manufacturing, particularly in textiles and food processing, is also expected to grow as Tajikistan looks to create more jobs and reduce its reliance on imported goods. Additionally, there is a focus on developing the country's tourism industry, with plans to promote Tajikistan's natural beauty and historical sites to international visitors. As for the job market, the government hopes that these sectors will create more opportunities for local workers. There is a push to improve education and skills training to ensure that young Tajiks are ready for the jobs of the future. However, challenges remain, as the country must overcome its low-wage economy and create higher-paying jobs for the growing population. If successful, Tajikistan's economic development initiatives could lead to a more diversified economy and better opportunities for the workforce in the coming years. In Tajikistan, younger generations are slowly challenging some of the traditional, cultural norms that have shaped the country for centuries. As the country becomes more connected to the outside world through technology, education, and travel, young people are becoming more exposed to global ideas and lifestyles. This exposure is causing a shift in attitudes toward issues like gender, roles, relationships, and personal freedoms. For instance, many young Tajiks are pushing for more freedom in choosing their life partners rather than relying on arranged marriages. They are also becoming more interested in career opportunities, education, and independence, which were not always as accessible or prioritized in the past. In cities like Dushanbe, where modernization is more visible, young people are embracing a more modern lifestyle. They are influenced by international trends in fashion, music, and social media, and are increasingly challenging the conservative social norms that have traditionally governed public behavior. For example, the younger generation is becoming more open to dating and socializing in ways that were once considered taboo. Women, in particular, are seeking more equality and opportunities in education and the workplace, demanding their right to be more than just caregivers and homemakers. However, despite these shifts, the older generation and more traditional communities still hold strong to the conservative values that have shaped Tajikistan for years. In rural areas, these traditions remain deeply ingrained, and change is often slow. The pressure to conform to cultural and religious expectations is still very much present, especially when it comes to marriage, family roles, and public conduct. This contrast between the younger and older generations creates a divide in how people view their place in society and what is expected of them. As Tajikistan continues to develop, it's likely that the social structure will gradually evolve. Younger generations are likely to continue pushing for greater personal freedoms and modernization, while the older, more traditional views may still influence society. The balance between maintaining cultural values and adapting to a changing world will be a key challenge for Tajikistan in the coming years. While the country may not completely abandon its conservative roots, it is clear that modernization will continue to shape the future of its social structure. The pace of this change will depend on how the generations interact and how open society is to embracing new ideas. Tajikistan offers a unique experience for those who are looking for an affordable place to live surrounded by stunning natural beauty. The country is home to breathtaking landscapes, from the towering Pamir Mountains to serene lakes and valleys. The beauty of the land is matched by the charm of its people, particularly the women, who are celebrated for their elegance and grace. Living in Tajikistan is also very affordable compared to many other countries. You can live comfortably on a modest budget with low costs for rent, food, and transportation. However, life in Tajikistan comes with its own set of challenges. The country's strict cultural norms, especially regarding relationships and social behavior, can feel restrictive for those used to more liberal societies. Public conduct is heavily guided by traditional values, and there is pressure to conform to expectations, especially in terms of family roles and gender norms. While younger generations are starting to push for change, these traditions still have a strong influence, particularly in rural areas. So, would you consider living in Tajikistan? What do you think about the balance between its affordable lifestyle and the strict cultural rules? Would the natural beauty and low cost of living outweigh the challenges of adjusting to traditional values? Tajikistan offers a life that is simple and rich in culture, but it might not be for everyone. It's a place where you need to embrace both its opportunities and limitations, but for the right person, it could be a unique and rewarding experience. So, what do you think? After learning about Tajikistan's affordable lifestyle, stunning natural beauty, and its strict cultural norms, could you see yourself living here on a $500 monthly budget? Is the idea of living surrounded by the breathtaking Pamir Mountains and beautiful lakes enough to make you consider it? Or do the conservative social rules, especially around relationships and personal freedoms, feel too restrictive for your taste? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this country could be a good fit for you? Or are there aspects of it that you'd find difficult to adjust to? Perhaps you're more interested in visiting Tajikistan as a traveler, to explore its natural wonders and experience a completely different way of life. Or maybe you could even see yourself living here long-term, embracing the simplicity of life and the chance to live affordably in one of Central Asia's hidden gems. Tajikistan may be a small country, but it offers a lot for those willing to step out of their comfort zone and experience something new. While it may not be the right fit for everyone, it has a lot of potential for those seeking an affordable, slow-paced lifestyle in a beautiful and culturally rich environment. So, if you found this video helpful or interesting, share it with a friend who's always looking for unique travel destinations that aren't your usual tourist spots. Tajikistan may surprise you, and it's definitely a place that shouldn't stay off your radar for too long. If you're curious about other hidden gems around the world, keep following along. There are many more places like Tajikistan that are waiting to be explored and experienced in ways you might never have imagined.